Right, allow me to get started. I'm a faculty member at the WMC. My name is Takada. This is the title, Ecology and Conservation Management of Sika deer and Japanese Serow here in Japan. Very briefly, my self-introduction. My specialty is behavioral ecology. My main research subject, it's actually the mammal, but the first one, Japanese Serow, designated as a special natural treasure in Japan. In addition, in relation to this, Sika deer ecology, and also small-sized mammals. Those are the things I do at the WMC. In Nagano, Asama Mountain and Mount Fuji between Shizuoka and Yamanashi prefectures, ranging from foothills to alpine zones. In those mountainous areas, I have been studying their behavioral ecology. The Japan Serows, you can see the faces of my friends. If you look at the face, you can see that each one is different. If you look at the horns, this one is without horns. And the shape of horn is different, so you can identify these each individual. And if you do this for a long period of time, you will learn how they live. This is something that I've been doing. Social system, and what is their activity against the predators, what do they feed on, what kind of habitat they prefer, and also the relationship between them and people. About the Japanese Serow, this is the ecology. Left-hand side, this the schematic view of the social system. Basically, they are solitary. Blue, that's male, female, pink. They make a pair. This is the area of their activities. So they live in pairs, and there's overlapping territories. So they are territorial, monogamous, one male, one female. They live in a certain territory. Right-hand side, what do they feed on? Food habits. What do they prefer? This is a result of such research. As you can see here, this broad-leaved, soft leaves. Selectively, they browse on the selective browser in terms of spatial behavior. Sedentary, once they establish their territory for several years, they stick to that same territory. If you look at the Japan's Sika deer, they are really at the opposite. As you can see in the photo, they are gregarious, and they are not territorial, unlike Serow. And one strong male can have several female wives, so polygamy. Food habits very flexible to south, to the north. They are distributed nationwide. If you look at those in the southern, they don't eat gramineads. So just like the Serow, they feed on the soft leaves. But if you move to north, they feed grass. So case by case, if you look at their activities and the spatial behavior, the southern part is warm, the environment is warm, so sedentary. But if you move to north, seasonal migration is observed in various populations. So behavior, ecology, reflecting them, the impact on ecosystem, there are great differences between the Serow and the deer. And deer, gregarious, non-territorial, highly reproductive. Those are the characteristics. When there is no pressure by the predators, there's the densification. The Japanese wolves became extinct in before 1990s. There was not much capture pressure, so densification occurred nationwide. Also, the large body size and flexible diet, and they are highly mobile. These are the characteristics. So the large impact on ecosystem and a large impact on plant community. So on other animals, they have also large impact on the ecosystem. Serows are the opposite, solitary, territorial, lowly, not really productive, without predators, not much densification, even without the predators. They are smaller body size, they are sedentary, not so much impact on plants. These are the differences. If you look at their distribution, if you look at the changes, 1978 deer distribution. What happened in 2018? The green, that's deer, as you can see, increased by 2.7 times. So the distribution expanded really significantly. And the Japanese Environment Ministry came up with this data. By each prefecture, Sika deer, the number of population is estimated. Harvest-based model was used. In terms of data, how many deer was captured, and also relative abundance, like block count, camera trap, pellet group count, scat analysis was also used. In 1989 to 2020, it increased by tenfold. It kept increasing. Currently, as of 2022, 2.46 million. That's estimated. So there is so much densification in various parts of Japan. As a result, the plant is impacted. This is deer fence. Within the deer, they cannot go outside of the fence. They can roam in. As you can see, there's almost no understory vegetation when there are deer. So when this happens, of course, some plant species go extinct by region. The forest, the fallen, the nuts, even if they flower, they are all eaten up. So there is no renewal of forest. And there's also soil erosion because the sediments cannot stay there. By the alteration of the plant communities, the birds, insects, and also even the fish and the other mammals on various animals, we know the impact is felt. So the certain plants go extinct, then the butterflies, insects, they may go extinct. No shrub, and then these birds, small birds, the number declines. And because of the soil erosion, only those who prefer the sand bed will live, and those fish that love gravel, they will decline. And also the disappearances of alpine meadows because of the expansion to alpine zones. The Southern Alps in Shizuoka, 1979, without any deer, you can see the meadows, and they are the flowers that can grow on the high altitude. But with deer introduced, it becomes barren. On the high altitudes, they are not really tolerant of the deer. And when there's deer introduced, then these plants go extinct. You can see that they are having an impact on various ecology. So as the government of Japan, they have come up with the goals of deer management. Agriculture, forestry, damages there, and also impact on ecology. To reduce that impact, deer population should be halved by 2028. Declaration was made in 2022. So halving the number of the population of deer. So the harvesting pressure should be increased by people. Also, the deer population should be monitored, and depending on the number of changes, then the adaptive management should be implemented. And as a result of these efforts, 2020 to 2024, every year, 700,000 are captured deer. It's a huge, huge number, and they are captured, harvested. Yet, unfortunately, the damages by deer, in some places, limited places, they are working out, but nationwide, it's not really mitigated. So why so much harvesting? Why do we see damages? Just one example. This is what I do. Let me introduce this to you. Sika deer. It affects on human harvesting of deer distribution in the northern side of Mount Fuji. This is a pellet group collection. You can see we are just surveying, doing the scat analysis pellet group. Red area, this is where they hunt. This is a group hunting, drive hunting. And then the red areas, this is the central part. And this, on the bottom, that's the apex of Mount Fuji. In high altitude areas, there are a lot of the deer. When they're not hunting, there are a lot of the deer. And the low altitude area, the black, that's the urban area. In the low altitude, there are many. And we found out that in this area, there are not so many deer. Because when they are shot, so the remainder will learn where they are not shot at, and they select areas where they are safe. So if you cull a lot of deer, there the number decreases, but in the areas they are not shot at, it's increasing.
And also they're increasing in unfavorable place. For example, I said that the number is increasing in the urban area. This is near Yamanakako Lake. This is in the city, near the shops. We see the appearances of the deer, and white color is the hip of the deer, and they are now seen in the town. And so that causes agricultural damages, and also there's an increasing number of traffic accidents. And because of the shorter distance between animal or the deer and the human beings, there is a heightened risk for zoonosis. So the situation is worsening also for the people or human. And also in the higher elevation area where hunting is not happening, there's an increasing population of deer as well. And so the fragile ecosystem of the subalpine and alpine zones in Mount Fuji is now being deteriorating. The renewal is not happening as desired. So shooting or capturing deer is one thing, but we have to give due consideration as to how we are to do it. Otherwise, unexpected negative impact can occur in other places. Now, what is the situation of the Serows? This shows the change of the distribution of the Serows from 1922 to more recent time. At the very right, we have the situation for 2003. In the early 1900s, they were seldomly being seen, but with the conservation or the protection, the distribution recovered. And it is designated as a special national monument. So there are 15 conservation areas for the species. So the density of the population is being monitored. And the black bar means the population density of the Serows. You can see that densities are lowering in most of the areas. After 2000s, the density decline has been reported throughout Japan, especially in Kyushu, Shikoku, and Kii mountain area and Suzuka. They are designated as a population, local population at risk of extinct, as reported by Ministry of Environment. What are the reasons? Potentially, it may be because of the interspecies competition with deer. But there's no research to clearly show that is the case, and there's no conservation measures being taken in this regard. And this shows my research. So Mount Asama, where I study, this is the alpine zone. There was no deer in presence before, but they are climbing up. And this shows the population density of the Serows, and we can see the decline. So it may be a competition, so we did study. Now, in our alpine zone site, we found two areas with a completely different density population of deers. The lower portion is where there is a low deer density, and the higher portion is a high deer density. And the density is different between the two, nearly threefold. And we compare the environment between two areas, and also we compared the how serows and deers are different in those areas. Now, the density of deers change the vegetation. This is the result of the counting of the density of the forb between the two areas with different density of the deers. And then we see that the high density of the deer leads to higher density of the forb. And then with the deer being there, the repellent species will increase, meaning that the plant that are not eaten by deer does increase. So when deer expand into an area, the food for Serow does go line. And also we analyze how the behavior of the Serow changes with the expansion of the deer. This shows the bite rate, meaning number of the bite counted per minute. And we made a comparison between the two areas. Then, when deer is large in terms of population, the bite number declines, meaning that they are not being able to eat a lot. And this is a step, meaning this is a step counts. And when there are a large number of the deers, there are increased number of the steps for the Serows, meaning their forage efficiency for the Serows decline when there is an increase of the population of the deer. And also the business rate increases where deer is expanded into the area where there is a Serow. Now, we looked at we did the fecal analysis. We compared the fecal cortisol concentrations of the two areas, between two areas with and without deers. And we can see that with large number of deers, there is a high stress level, psychological stress level on the side of the Serows. The long-term long-term stress may be causing negative impact on the reproduction. We analyze the number of the Serow per minute. And this is so compared the low deer this area and the high deer area, and we found out that where there is a high deer density, there is a lower density for Serows. And also, the aging of the population also occurs when there is a high density of the deer. So meaning that the expansion of deer caused the lower population for the Serows and also the aging. Now, let me summarize. So with increased number of the deer, there will be a lower diversity and amount for the food, and the only unfavored plant will increase. That means the deterioration of the foraging efficiency for Serow, and also there's increased vigilance frequency, leading to higher psychological stress, leading to lower population and the aging of the population. We came to find out. So once again, I think we can almost be certain that the inter-specific competition caused a lower number of the Serow, and we submitted the article, and then it's now being evaluated. Now this is Mount Asama. Against when we monitor the number of the Serow, there was a timing where there was a sharp decline. And that is a timing when there was a large number of the trap being installed. And this shows the case where the Serow we were identified died because of the trap. And you can see that the foreleg is a opening, and we dissected it and realized that there was a damage of the blood vessel leading to a loss of blood. So what we believe is that the impact of the trap is quicker than the impact from a deer. And similar to deer, Serows are also being seen more now in urban area. This is probably because of the deterioration of the environment in the mountain area due to the increase of the deers. And that is probably leading to the increase of the appearance of Serow in urban area, leading to those risks described here. And also, when people see more Serows near them, they may think that there is increasing number of the Serows, leading to a lower awareness about the conservation. Now, again, summary. Now, there's increasing number of the deers, so there's an attempt to capture more, but it's not been successful. If we try to randomly capture them, we cannot be successful in lowering the damages. So how can we be successful in managing and control? In order to find it out, we need to find out what kind of capture measure is successful. Trap or group hunting or sharpshooting. We need to compare and study the reaction of deers against different methods. Also, with regards to Serows, it seems that the deer management likely determine the survival of the species or the population. So how to manage deers in the Serow's habitat is to be important. And also, monitoring is needed to find out where Serows exist. We only have better insights in relation to the conservation area, so we need to monitor in different areas. I was quick with the interest of time, but I conclude my